and also turn off your video until you're called upon, and we'll go from there. So for us that are on the Shade Tree Commission, we'll go ahead and call this session to order. We'll do a quick Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do our, so Trish, didn't we vote our previous?
We did nominations.
Got it. Sounds good. Okay, sounds good. So let's go ahead and do Pledge of Allegiance. I'll kick her off.
Pledge allegiance to the
To
flag of the United States of
of
America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So for our first item on the agenda for this mini session is we need to take a vote for both the chair and vice chair. So for chair, we nominated Eileen Brett, continuing her chair as previously in 2020. So all in favor of extending her nomination as chair for this year? Aye.
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 Great. And for vice chair, self-nomination, Seth Reeser. All in favor? Aye.
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 Very good.
Nay.
Get out of here, John. All right. Thank you all. So now we need to, that's all we need to take care of for that, Trish?
That is correct. Now we can start our meeting.
Great, sounds good. Do we need to repeat the Pledge of Allegiance, or we can just dive right into it?
Yes, we do.
Okay, sounds good. So now we'll officially call to order January 20th Shade Tree Commission meeting. And we will repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. 3, 2, 1.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to
and
the republic
for which it
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for
for all.
all.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for the flag, Lisa.
Nice flag, Lisa.
What a better way on Inauguration Day than to all say the Pledge of Allegiance together. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let me know when you guys can see it.
Yep.
Great. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Happy New Year. And we'll dive right into meeting minutes for December 16th, 2020. Does anyone have any comments for those meeting minutes? All right. All in favor of approving those minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, so first address on the agenda is 649 Radnor Valley Drive. Is someone on the line for that address?
Hey, Seth.
Yeah.
It's Matt. I had asked Trish and Steve for a clarification on these grading permits because in our November meeting, we had abridged the shade tree ordinance to include a note that said grading permits that didn't rise over a bar of 0 trees removed or 500 square feet of earth moved could be addressed by the staff.
Sure.
And so I don't know. I'm not sure why Steve went through these and said
Six were taken off, Matt. 6 actual applicants were removed from the list. These most certainly probably have stockpiling or egress issues that we need to consider.
Okay.
Good call out though, Matt. And thanks, John. So anyone from 649 Radnor Valley Drive? If you're speaking, you might be on mute. Nada? Okay. I'll take note and then we can come back to 649. Anyone here from 513 Watch Hill Road?
Hi, I'm Patrick Hanlon from Omni Inc. I'm here for 513 Watch Hill Road.
Hi, Patrick.
What
Good
is
evening.
Good evening. What is the plan date that you have on the plans that you have? What's the most recent revision date?
I'm bringing it up right now. Let's see here. All right. December 2nd, 2020.
All right. We did make some minor changes to address some comments from Gannett Plumbing and Andrew Zerby. I have a
Okay.
more recent PDF if you want me to share my screen.
Yes, that's totally fine. Go
Yeah, please
ahead.
do.
And I'm going to stop sharing, and then you can go ahead and share.
And just a note, guys, there was a couple people that reached out yesterday and today. And I told them, you know, their updated plans, they would have to share their screen because it was already posted and the agenda was already set. So
No worries. Thank you, Trish, for that update.
Can you see the screen? Can you see
Yes.
my mouth?
Indeed, yes.
Okay, this is 513 Watch Hill Road. The owner just wants to remove a portion of this existing driveway here and their existing shed and rebuild and build a new detached garage and an expanded driveway. They are going to be removing 3 trees. This 39-inch oak, this 10-inch cherry, and this 13/20-inch twin. So that's a total of 3 trees that are going to be removed. Total replacement trees of 10, with 6 being large canopy. Here's the ENS plan. All they're doing is constructing a new detached garage in this location here, doing some minor grading, expanding the driveway just a small amount to get to the face of the detached garage, and the associated stormwater system required to infiltrate the stormwater required by the ordinance. In addition to the removed trees, this 6-inch spruce and 20-inch cherry tree are going to be protected by this tree protection fencing here. This 9-inch dogwood and 34-inch walnut tree will be protected by the tree protection fencing here. We do have some silt fencing along this edge right here, as well as the downhill portion around the stormwater system. We do show a location of a topsoil stockpile in this area right here. And one of Andrew's comments concerned some trees he saw in aerial imagery on the adjoining property, 713 Knox Road, along in this area here. Our comment back to him was that there is a privacy fence along the property line in this location here. And he agreed that that was enough protection between the trees on the adjoining property. Yeah, so that's the project in totality. It's very simple. Just a couple trees being removed and just some tree protection fencing.
How far off the neighbor's property are those trees being shown? 'Cause they're supposed to be on the plan.
We do not show them on the plan. They were not picked up.
We're going to, I mean, it's not going to stop you tonight from getting approval, but we'll need to see those trees shown on the plan.
Those trees are need to be shown on the plan?
That's correct.
Okay.
And just to confirm, I'm assuming all ingress egress is happening from the current drive.
Correct.
Understood. And the large, I forget if it was 36 or 39-inch tree. Was that a healthy tree, or is that in decline at all?
To the best of my knowledge, it's healthy. There is no indication here saying that it's in declining health.
Sure. Okay. And could you? Okay. I just wanted to see the replacement trees, which you have on screen right now.
We just have the calculation here. 10 replacement trees, 6 being large canopy. We do have some tree protection notes and the standard care of existing tree notes right here.
Okay.
And your calcs are good, so.
Yep, that all checks out. Thank you. Do you have an idea of where the new trees are going to be placed? Was that a part of this detail?
No, it is not part of the detail. Is that something that the township would require?
Normally, we do like to see it, but John, it's not an exact requirement. Is that
No,
correct?
we'll just make note that all the trees are going back on the site. That's correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
We'll add the note though.
Got it.
Okay. Matt, were you able to get out to this property?
Yeah, the 39-inch tree is in pretty good shape, but everything else looks good. I mean, the shade tree protection, where it's defined, looks like it's appropriate, and yeah, I don't have any other issues with this.
Okay. And there's certainly no way to save that 39-inch oak.
No,
Yeah, it's right where the proposed garage will be located.
Got it. Understood. Okay. I have no further questions. Anyone else? All right. All in favor of approval? Aye. I didn't necessarily see everyone's
Aye.
affirmation. Great. Thanks, James.
Aye.
Thanks, Claire. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you and have a good night.
You too. Good luck
Good
with the
luck.
project.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Seth, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure thing.
I got your email.
You got, okay, thanks, Trish. We're good, Seth. Thank you.
Yep. All right. If you could stop sharing, then I'm going to reshare. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the next address, 110 Aberdeen Terrace. Is anyone present from that address?
Hi, my name's Chris Yon. I'm the civil engineer for that project.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Okay, how are you doing?
Good. Do you know if the plans that we have are the latest? Just confirming. I'll bring them up on screen right now. Looks like December 4th, 2020.
Yeah, those are correct. There is a revision date there for January 3rd, right above the seal, but yes, those are correct.
Ah, got it. Thank you. All right. If you could, looks like you're removing 500 cubic yards of dirt and 5 trees to be removed. If you could go ahead and walk us through your project and outline the dirt being moved around and trees being removed.
Sure. So this is a vacant lot on Aberdeen Terrace. There are some trees on the lot. On the right-hand side, there's a number of spruces in the front. There's some more spruces. Those in the front are in decline. And so we show 2 different symbols. One symbol with the X are healthy trees to be removed. And then the other symbol that's more of like a diamond with an X in it, those show the trees that are in decline or hazardous. We did have a report from the applicant's arborist for those. And so on that sheet 1 shows the trees to be removed. To the left of the title block is where the calculations are for which ones are to be removed and how many replacement trees are required. There's 10 replacement. If you go to sheet 2 of 5 is where we show the replacement trees. There's 4 new oak trees that we show up near, just right behind the right of way. And then we show,
Streetscape, yep.
yeah, and then we show 6 new arborvitaes that are along the property line on the left-hand side. Yep, right there. To kind of block a little bit between the 2 houses. And then on page 4 are the erosion controls. And so that's where it shows the tree protection fencing for the trees to remain. There's one in the front left, another a little bit down the property line on the left, and then there's some of those spruce trees on the right.
And it looks like the topsoil stockpile will be out back. Could you describe the grading and the extent of that a little bit more in detail?
Sure. So it's a lot that slopes from front to back, and it slopes a little more right in the front, and then it kind of flattens out further back. And so when we put this new house in there, we're grading down for the driveway and putting the house there so that it's not set down so low. So it's kind of set up higher with a walkout at the back. And so, we have some fill in the front, we're sloping down on each side of the house, and then we have a little more fill in the back to flatten it out a little bit.
Okay, thank you. And let me go back up to your replacement formula. Bear with me. That was on page 1, correct?
Yes, to the left of the title block.
All right, so all trees are within the 19 to 29 inch category. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 to 18. So it's a 1-to-1 replacement for I'm sorry, the declining trees are all within 6 to 18. The healthy trees, we have 4, 6 to 18. And then we have 1 30-inch apple that will require 6, so 10 total.
10 total replacements, Seth.
Yep. And 4 requiring to be large canopy. And that checks out with what we saw. Okay. All right, Matt or John, did you guys get a chance to review any of this? Any questions?
Yeah, I was at the site today, Seth. I would agree with their assessment. And I would also say the 30-inch apple is at the end of its real life. An apple tree is not going to get that much bigger. And so I have one that size in my yard. So, and it's in decline. So I think their assessment was correct.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Any other questions or concerns from anyone else? All right, all in favor of approval? Aye.
Can we all say aye? So I can't see everybody, so I need to hear.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Good luck with the project.
Thanks.
All right. Moving on to 932 or 930 Coopertown Road. Anyone present for that address?
Yes, that's me again, Chris.
All right, double hitter. I like it. Let me bring up the plans here.
So this project is one of the ones Trish mentioned where we have updated plans.
Got it. I will relinquish control and you can go ahead and share.
And Chris, is that based on the meeting yesterday where we found a few trees that need a required replacement?
That's correct.
Okay.
So I will share my screen here. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is also a vacant lot. You'll see a driveway that comes through here. There's 3 lots here. There used to be a house in the back and the lot in the middle, which is 926 Coopertown. That house the owner had removed it a few years ago and now is selling the 3 lots for 3 new homes. So right now we're looking at this 930. So that portion of the driveway will be removed. There's a number of trees on this lot that are in decline. So applicant did have an arborist go out and take a look at those, basically noted all of them as in decline, and so we weren't proposing any replacement trees. But then they did meet with John yesterday. He thought that there's a 32-inch spruce right here next to the driveway and this 32-inch hemlock, that they were healthy enough that they shouldn't be considered in a declining state. And so we just revised the plans yesterday, that instead of having them all in decline, that we would provide replacement for those two trees that were greater than 30 inches. And so those two trees need 6 each for a total of 12, 8 being large canopy. So that's the existing condition. What's proposed is this new home.
Chris, sorry to interrupt you. Can you go back to your replacement formula? Because I saw a thing in there for what you're planting on site versus fee and lieu.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
could run us through that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Out of the 12, we were proposing 9 on site and then 3 where we would, or the applicant would pay the fee in lieu.
Everybody clear on that?
Mhm.
And the 3 in lieu, were those large canopy?
It doesn't matter. It's the same fee, Seth.
Got it. Just curious.
And so this plan is the new house, the new driveway in gray. There's a potential future pool in the back. There is a very large ginkgo tree in the front, 59-inch, that is healthy, and we're trying to maintain. And so we are pulling the house back further from the front setback, basically a little more than double it needs to be from the street in order to keep that tree. And then as a result of the meeting yesterday and needing those extra trees, these shown in red are 5 new oak trees that would be planted, shade trees, kind of along right on the inside of the property line here, that would separate the 2 driveways, and then some arborvitae in the back to separate this yard space from the proposed home that would go on this lot 926. And so these are the proposed 9 trees, which is why we would need 3 to pay for 3 fee in lieu. And then the page 4 is where we have the tree protection fencing to protect some trees in the front and along the side here, this 59-inch ginkgo along the back.
Excellent. Well done, Chris.
Thanks.
So out of how many of these are large canopy? Looks like 5.
The overall, correct. 5, the 5 proposed are large canopy, and then 4 proposed are the arborvitae. So we would
Understood.
pay, we wouldn't
So-
be planning 3 large canopy. That's what we'd pay the fee in lieu of.
Right, got it. Okay.
Trish, it's Jenny. I have a question. How, are you the one, or who follows up on the fee, and when does it get paid? Does it get paid now when we approve, or I'm not clear on how that works.
That would be Steve.
But I can answer. Usually it's paid within the time frame of approval for the applicant. That money is set in as part of the big tree fund, which usually hits the following month. So it's within a month time frame.
Of us approving, John.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Unless Chris is slow pay.
Matt, any commentary around this property?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it today, but I can't add anything to what John is. I mean, John was on the site. I'm sure. I agree. It was the trees that are marked as diseased or going south are correct.
Great. Okay, anything else from anyone? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Seth, before we start the land development ones,
Mm-hmm.
649, I believe, is on now.
Great.
I never got the email originally, so.
No problem. We can circle back.
Yes, I am on if anyone wanted to ask me anything. Sorry.
So we'll get back to you once we're
Okay.
finished with the rest of these, then we'll circle back to you before we start our land development ones.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, 516 Watch Hill Road. Is anyone on the line for that property?
Yep, I'm here, Patrick Kane from DL Howe and Associates, representing the applicant for 516 Watch Hill Road.
Great, hi Patrick.
I have updated plans, so do you think I could share the screen?
Yes, go ahead and share. I will
Thank you.
stop sharing.
Okay.
So it looks like no trees to be removed. It's just 175 cubic yards of dirt to be moved
Can you
around.
guys see the updated plan?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess basically there's an existing house on the property. What the applicant is looking to do is build a pool in the backyard. In terms of trees, we got a review letter from Gannett Fleming on January 12th. In his review letter, he basically stated that this 10-inch cedar here, when it's correctly scaled, the drip line runs into the edge of this pool.
Mhm.
He asked the applicant to either move the pool. He basically asked the applicant to move the pool and put tree protection fencing around this tree. The applicant did not want to move the pool, so what we decided to do was propose this 10-inch cedar for removal and then propose a replacement tree in its place.
Got it.
Basically, it's a 6 to 18-inch tree. I have a note down here.
So it has a one tree
For 6 to
requirement,
8
one tree
inches.
requirement.
Yeah, one tree requirement. And the tree we're proposing is a green giant, which is in accordance with the Radnor Township recommended tree species.
Great.
So,
Yeah, I think this looks fairly straightforward. Does anyone on the commission have any concerns?
the only thing I'll add to, I guess, is the applicant, I believe he can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe he would like the equipment to enter around, kind of around the house here through this 9-foot wide gate versus going directly down the driveway with the construction equipment, because there is only a 4-foot gate here.
Yeah.
I know that we were still kind of discussing that, but at this time, I believe that he wants to go through the 9-inch gate with the equipment to access the backyard.
Okay, so in that case, it looks like there's a grouping of 3 trees that would be near that pathway. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we would want to see tree protection
protection.
around
Yeah.
those guys.
Need to, yeah. The plan's gonna have to denote tree protection. Yep.
But I think for tonight, we can approve contingent on those revisions.
Sounds good.
Okay. Matt, did you have anything?
No, I'm ready to go.
Sounds good. All right, anyone else? Questions, comments? All right, all in favor of approval contingent upon just making that one small tree protection revision? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you, Patrick. Good luck with the project.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. All right, moving on to 820 Lawrence Road. Is anyone from that property present? (820 Lawrence Road).
Hello, that's me, Chris Yon.
Hey, Chris. Triple hitter.
That's right. Lucky me.
Do you have plans you would like to share for this guy too?
I do, if that's okay.
Perfect. I will stop sharing.
In my preparation for the meeting, I did see 2 minor things to update. Can you
Yeah,
see?
and the updates are fine as long as they obviously get back to the township.
Okay. I think these will probably something you would have seen, and so hopefully it'll make it so you don't have any comments. So this property, there is an existing home, pool, driveway, all of that will be removed and a new home is proposed. What we had
Just enlarge the screen, enlarge the screen a little bit. There you go.
Okay. What I had missed is that we showed these two 6-inch trees to be removed. But I didn't show the calculation for that. And so the old plan showed 0 trees to be removed. This one now shows those 2 and that we need to, I guess I think part of the confusion here was I thought that if we removed the 5 or less and none of them were heritage trees, that we didn't have to provide replacement.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I think that's why we didn't have the chart on there before, but I wanted to highlight that. So we show those 2 to be removed. We don't show any replacement trees. And then this is the proposed home, the driveway. We are using the existing curb cut. There'll be a loop driveway in the front. It'll be side loaded on the right. There's a new pool generally in the same area as the one in the back. I will note that there is a 25-inch oak in the front that the applicants would like to keep. And so basically this right-hand side of the driveway, I don't know if you can see here, but this little tick mark is right where the existing curb cut is. So we're keeping the curb cut and trying to wrap around that tree so it can be maintained. There's another one right here to the right of the driveway, a 10-inch maple that I think we originally had is to be removed, and then through some changes with the owner and architect, we decided to put a little wall there to keep that. And so my other change that I made from the plans that you had seen was we had forgotten to put some tree protection around that now that we're going to keep it. So we added that tree protection fencing. And so then this is the sheet 4 that includes all the tree protection fencing.
Great, thank you, Chris. So from this view, could you just quickly hover over all of the trees with tree protection once more for me?
Sure, so it's this, maybe if I draw the line will be easiest. Along here is the tree protection fencing, and it wraps around that right-hand side and then all the way around the back.
Got it, okay.
This is kind of a wooded area up here in the right. If you zoom in, you can see the different trees. Not all of them are labeled. There's a number of 6-inch trees in here.
Sure.
And then
Okay.
in the back here, there's some pine trees that are to be saved. There's also some tree protection in the front here. There's a very large poplar and some other trees.
Got it. Okay, this all looks good to me. Matt, any comments? John, any comments?
Good.
I think it's good.
I would just, Seth,
Yeah, what do you got, James?
I would just recommend that when they're doing that driveway curving around that oak tree, they should have an arborist there to just clean up the roots if the excavator hits it, if they want to try to save it.
Certainly.
Good advice, thanks, James. All right, all in favor of approval? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Great, thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to the next address, 743 Parks Run Lane. Anyone here for that address?
Yes, I'm here. I'm Matthew Palino.
Hi, Matthew, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Matt,
Good.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So it looks like we're moving around 1,500 yards and 9 trees to be removed.
That's correct. The tree chart, though, is wrong. I just looked at the plan part for the first time and realized that his compensation chart appears to be well, the top line of it just appears to be wrong anyway. I think he has 11 small trees coming down and 6 compensation, but there are 5 trees that are between 6 and 19 and 3 trees that are greater than 19. So the chart needs to be revised to reflect that. The replacement formula chart, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Understood. I'm just bringing up your plans now. Let me get to, looks like this page 2. If you could walk us through
Okay, that's fine.
the project and the plans, and we can talk about the
That's fine. So
revisions
we're
to
going to
the
be
tree formula.
removing, we're going to be demolishing the existing house, which is shown on, well, it's shown as the faint line, but also there's, I guess page 3 is the existing conditions, but we're going to be removing the existing house and building a new home in a slightly larger footprint. And in doing that, we'll be, the excavation will involve 1,500 yards, obviously. The driveway will come in, and in putting the driveway in, we'll be removing 3 trees that'll be sort of impacted by it because of the change of grades and just the spacing of the existing trees that are there, right through there where you're at, yeah. And then as you come around, there's a tree that I think is the one he missed, that one right there. I suspect he missed that in his calculation because it took me a little time to find it too. That's the 9th tree. I feel that's the one he missed. And then there's 2 small cedar there. There's a small 6-inch cedar, and I think a 16-inch cedar inside the proposed house. And then in the backyard there's a maple, and I can't read it, the pine, another pine. And there's a 16-inch magnolia that is basically embedded into where the existing house was. And if we were demolishing the existing house, that tree will be disturbed beyond, you know, any kind of salvage. It was planted in the old house probably 40, 50 years ago.
Got it.
Pretty neglected site.
Yes, it was, yeah.
So which page do you have the formula on?
On sheet 3 of 3 is the,
Got it.
there's a little chart to the left upper left corner.
Understood.
There you go. And so it should be 6 of the 6 to 18, and that should be 6 trees required, but there should be 3 of the 19 to 30s.
Yep.
And that should obviously be 9 for a total of 15.
Yep.
Okay. Are any of those 15 in decline, or are they all healthy?
Well, the magnolia is questionable, I would say, or the one that's sort of half grown into the house. The trees, I wouldn't say that they're in decline. They've definitely been neglected. No one has trimmed up, especially the ones down the road are sort of all grown into each other. The other trees are, you know, legit.
Right. Okay. And then the
Matt,
other
you're just gonna need to change out your quantities here and just make that change over to Trish.
Yes. Yes, and we'll do that with any other revisions that Garn and Flatman comes up with concerning, you know, the plan itself.
And just noting too, we do like to see, so with the 19 to 29 inch caliper, so 3 replacement trees, but 2 needing to be large canopy.
And we would put that note.
Yep.
Sounds good. So I'm just doing the quick math here regarding large canopy trees. And while I'm doing that, could you walk us through
Egress.
egress, and then also where the planting of the new trees, kind of an outline of what that will look like.
Okay, well, we haven't prepared a planting plan per se, but he does, and he shows locations for them. If you look on the plan, but a lot of times, when we build a new house like this, we'll typically plant 20, 30 trees, and we'll well exceed the requirements, just because in the case of this house, we'll be wanting to buffer it from a house next door. And so we'll probably exceed that. That's why I don't have the final planning plan yet, but the engineer did call out locations for the various trees that the 12 trees he was speccing.
Right.
see
And
the
I
circle.
see that it's matched up with the symbols here.
Right. Unfortunately, we would need to add 3 more.
Understood. Okay. Matt or John, do you have any other questions or concerns?
Not at all,
Okay.
other
Is
than the
everyone-
revisions.
The
Is everyone-
the tree protection looks adequate.
Good. Thank you, Matt. Is everyone comfortable with approving this contingent upon the revisions as noted?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All approved? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Look
you.
to see you for those revisions soon. Thank
Yep.
you much. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to 0 Deep Dean Road. Great address. Anyone from that address here today? Zero Deep Dean Road. If you're speaking, you might be on mute. All right. We can go ahead and skip
Hello?
back.
Joe
Oh.
Kravitz?
There we
Here.
go. We can hear you now.
Okay,
evening.
fine. Thank you. My tree arborist, I'm not sure if he's on a phone call. He was to try to get on Russ Carlson from Tree Tech Consulting. Is Russ there?
Here,
Okay. Russ, I'll let you take it from there and then I'll add in.
okay. I don't know if they have a site plan of your,
Yep, I just brought it up. So we have 760 yards of dirt to be moved around, stay on site, and then 5 trees to be removed, it looks like.
That is incorrect, but I'll let you pick that up in terms of the removal number there.
Okay. What is the correct removal number?
I'm showing in our summary on page 2 of our report, a total of 9 removals and 4 large canopies.
So
Tree
13, so 13 trees?
No,
No,
9.
go
A
ahead. Russ.
total of 9, got it.
So I'm seeing on this page 1, it looks like number of trees to be removed over 6 inches, 5. At least this is on the application.
Yes, yes. And we're gonna update that, but there was one up close to the driveway on the left-hand side that wasn't spotted, and we'll update that. And obviously, we still need to put together your replacement tree chart with the revision.
We'll let Russ run it through.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, John. Russ, do you mind guiding me to the page you want to go on to outline trees being removed, ingress, egress, tree protection, all that good stuff?
basically, my assignment on this was to assess the large trees, those that are over the 18 inches. What it came down to was that there's five trees along the north property line that are questionable. 4 of them have to come down, as shown in the summary on page 2 of my report. Basically, we have a dogwood that's in very poor shape. It's declining, it's broken top, it's not really a viable landscape tree. a 10-inch maple suppressed by larger trees, not in very good condition, and two tulip trees, one of which is 35 inches. That tree will, well, both of the tulip trees will be very close to the foundation of the proposed new structure. They're going to be too close to keep those trees. It's going to represent significant root damage and root loss, to the point that I think both of those trees will end up being hazardous there.
So which page of the plans shows the tree removals?
At this point of we have not updated. My goal was to get this in front of you for an approval of the removal. Then we were going to create the replacement chart and show them as well.
So currently the removals are not outlined on any of these pages?
Yeah, they seem to be TBR'd if very faintly, Seth.
Yeah, if you can back up to that last view.
Okay.
Right there,
I
right
missed
there.
them. Thank you. Let me zoom in here.
Up towards the top, yeah, that's good. Up towards the top left corner near the, what's marked as a concrete washout, there's a dogwood tree in that area. That's the first tree. Moving down that same property line there along the left side, down at the very bottom, you'll see one tree that's in that's not faded there. That's the Japanese maple, way down by the topsoil stockpile, right there. Just above that is to the left is right there is the Japanese maple. Going just upward from that, you'll see faintly a tulip tree right along, right along the property line on the left side. Go up with the pointer a little bit more, right there. There's a tree there, a tulip tree, which is somehow got marked 8 inches in my summary, but it's actually a 35-inch tree. And that tree lost a small leader. It was actually originally a 3-liter tree, lost one a while back, sometime within the past 6 or 8 months, I believe. And then the other two are represent a very weak crotch to it, so that's questionable tree. There is a risk to it because of the weak crotch in the main trunks. And then the last one above it is where it says 160.8 feet along that property line. That's the other one. That's tree number 3, which is a large tulip tree. Again, I think it's about 38 or 39 inches, very large tree. But those 2 tulip trees are going to be within about 12 feet or less of the proposed foundation, even less when you allow working space. So as proposed, putting the house in there with the foundations is going to effectively destroy half the root system of each of those trees. They cannot stay, should be removed and replaced. Also right in there, just about where the pointer is, or just a little bit above that, is the, right there, go back down a little bit, right in that area is the 10-inch maple tree. Again, it's going to be right there, going to be very close to the foundation. It's not doing well now because it's suppressed under the big tulip tree. My recommendation is not to mess with that. Just take it out now and be done with it. Ornamental trees can be planted along that side. That's for the landscape designers to figure out.
Great.
Hey,
Thanks,
Russ, Matt here. I count 6 TBRs, but I heard 9 earlier.
Yes, I think I got confused with tree number 4.
So it's not 9 then.
Correct. It's tree number 1 is simply an 8-inch dogwood. So that would be one replacement there. tree for tree.
Yeah, we're gonna
tree
need this to be shown on a table block, so.
Yeah,
With the trees identified.
that's correct.
Yeah, a little bit more detail.
Okay. With that being said, before approval, do we want to see the updated plans first? I would say yes.
I would.
I would prefer
I
updated
would,
plans.
yes. There's too much wrong information on this and too much not shown to make a clear decision.
And that's fine. My objective initially was to simply get an approval for these specific trees to be removed. And then, obviously to highlight it and show it and put it together for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're comfortable with doing that. I think we would want to see the complete tree replacement formula, outline
Okay.
all of the specifics.
I appreciate that. Not a problem. I do have a question. Because of the site and a small width of the lot, I buff up to Sprawl Road 320 when you're facing the house on the left-hand side there. I would like to create a complete buffer up that whole side of the property. And obviously I've got Pico wiring hovering up into there as well. I'm asking, as part of my first rodeo here, with ornamental trees, and I'll have to work with the landscaper, but what would you recommend? Can I take my ornamentals there? Initially, I was looking for some large hedge to go in through there and try to work, in other words, where you've got canopy trees. I was hoping to get something a little more in a smaller shrubbery. Should I show that on the plan as well now? I would think so.
Yeah. I mean, you have some choices. So, you could go with green giants, or you could go with, if you like flowering trees, crepe myrtles. There's a lot of there's a lot of trees that could go underneath wires and not become a problem. But any large canopy trees you want to avoid, I think.
So what I would recommend is you propose the plantings that you see fit for the project, get them over to us prior to the next meeting so that we can weigh in, so you're not wasting any time in February.
I appreciate that.
We can give you some feedback, and then you'll be all set for February.
That'd be fine.
Great. Thanks, John. All right. So as mentioned, go ahead and make those revisions and we'll get you on the docket for next month, but appreciate you walking us through your initial phases of the project.
I thank you for your time.
All right. Take care.
Seth, one other
Yes.
is just to, if they're taking down hazardous trees, to remember to fill out a hazardous tree report so John can take a look at it and check
Yeah,
them
so
out.
I mean, I can talk offline. I can talk offline with Russ. If a couple of these are hazardous, as pinpointed by the report, we can obviously discuss that. So, but right now, let's get the plan up to par.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks, gentlemen. All right.
So we're tabling this until next month.
We are, yes. Thank you.
Can we take a vote on that, please?
All in favor to table until next month? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Circling back, thank you for your patience. 649 Radnor Valley.
Yes, hi. My name's Melissa. I'm the homeowner.
Hi, Melissa. Good evening.
They don't
Hi.
listen.
I don't know really, I'm not really sure about what, supposed to happen with the meetings. I just kind of found out about it last minute, but I'm here if you have any questions. I hope I can answer.
Yeah, no problem. We'll walk you through it. So essentially what we need to know is, so it looks like you're moving some dirt around, no trees to be removed. So in this case, what we're really looking for is any tree protection around trees that are near the dirt being moved around or ingress egress.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on your plan here, and then if you could kind of walk us through what the project is, and then we can kind of talk about tree protection.
So we're just adding a pool. And as far there are like, there's not many trees that are, you know, over the years that we've lost. That whole property line years ago used to have trees, but storms and things like that. So I'm planning on, after the pool, creating some privacy with some of the putting trees on the side. But as for building and where the pile goes, there really is not, there's not really a lot of trees. I can't tell if it's marked. There's one towards the bottom of the house against the fence. There's like one there, but I don't think that's where the dirt pile is supposed to be proposed to go. Where does it say the dirt pile is supposed to go? You see that?
I'm not seeing.
Sorry,
that.
I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah, what we would normally like to see is outlining exactly where.
Yeah, I don't believe there's
there's
not a stockpile on there, but I mean, we have a couple trees up near the pool here, so let's discuss those a little bit.
Yeah, so there's trees near the pool. What we would normally like to see on plans would be usually a dashed indicator indicating tree protection, which is just the orange fencing, temporary fencing to put around the drip
No,
line.
it's a chain link fence.
Okay,
No,
so
it is.
that,
Yep.
Oh, got it.
that tree
Yep.
doesn't exist. See the tree what you're talking about right now?
Yep.
That tree is not even there anymore, because that tree was also really dead. In fact, I had to get Stephen to take that tree out because you know, my kids are over there running around, and you know, I didn't want it to fall. So
Sure.
Steve, who's on the Zoom here, he had to actually take that tree out. That wouldn't have affected the pool because the pool's before it. But so that tree, but the other trees are still here. I forget the name of those kinds of trees, but they're big shade trees. So what I think you're saying is those trees have to have some sort of fence around them as the pool's being built. Is it?
So
correct?
only if it's near where dirt is being moved or equipment is being driven in and out, and it looks like.
Melissa, did you say Steve's on the call? Is it Steve Schreiner?
Yeah.
Steve, can you give us a little insight if you're on there? What's going on here?
Absolutely. Good evening.
Hi, Steve.
Yep. As far as the stockpile of dirt, there's enough area in the backyard for that pile to be away from any of the perimeter evergreen trees. It's primarily spruce and pine.
Good.
There was a dead Colorado blue spruce that Mrs. Ify was talking about that was removed when she acquired the property and wanted me to take a look at the trees and make it safe. I feel strongly that the remaining trees are outside the footprint of disturbance, but I'm more than happy to go over there tomorrow and take a look and then follow back up.
Well, no, I mean, if that one tree that she was pointing at, I think it says 24, if that tree is removed, you're actually in pretty good shape, so.
Agreed, but
yep.
Happy to do it, but that's fine.
Yeah,
It
there's
looks
a
like,
lot of land there, so.
Yeah, I would just stage the dirt where it says 48 high security fence. In that area there, that would be an ideal spot for the topsoil pile, and it would not have any impact on the surrounding landscape.
Got it.
And it looks like the ingress and egress will probably come in from the driveway, Melissa.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
And so you're not going to be near any trees as you go back there.
No.
Right.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns? I feel fairly.
Thanks for
comfortable
bailing
with
her
this.
out there, Steve.
I know, really.
Absolutely.
She was starting to swim in the pool already, and I said, you better save her.
No problem.
Thank you,
right.
Steve.
All in favor of approving plans?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I
All
ask,
right.
can I ask a question? So do we want the plans to show that tree is not there?
Yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. Just draw an X, indicating that it's removed. And ideally also notate the stockpile of dirt. That would be great.
Okay.
Great.
Does that
All right,
have,
Melissa.
I'm sorry, I just have one more question. So,
Sure.
that goes to the civil engineer person who did the plan. So does he just do, another plan with the X and the dirt pile and then resubmit it, or how does this?
So this is a
please.
John Smirga, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
it is. Yep.
So, yeah, just ask John to remove that tree from the plan.
Okay.
He does this quite often, so I'm sure he'll understand, and he can always give us a call at the office if
Okay.
he wants any further information.
Because I think right now, I think has to take this whole plan back for a different thing, because we're adding an addition, and I think the grading permit, because it was something, he might have talked to you, I think, about taking away, it's already impervious structure, the addition's going on, but it was like something about adding and putting it back in, but they said that it had to be, we could add it on to this, whatever he already did. So I can just tell him when he resubmits that with the new stuff to just put this in, I think.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
All right. We're all set.
Does that mean I can
Melissa,
leave?
you can leave. Good luck with your project, and enjoy the pool.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Good
Take
luck,
care.
Melissa.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So I think that gets us through all of the.
So can we please take a vote on that?
Yes. So approval with revisions as noted.
Aye.
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 Thank you. All right. So I think that gets us through all of the grading permits. Were there any others that snuck through?
No.
Okay. Great. All right. So moving on to land development.
Is that,
Yes.
can I say something at this point? So these three projects have in some way, shape, or form come before planning in the last 2 or 3 months.
Mhm.
And there are different stages of where they stand according to how the planning commission is viewing them. But we've gotten a lot of reaction from the public, and we have been reading the comments after each land development plan, the comments that came in. One thing I think we need to be careful of here tonight, and it's just me talking, so the rest of the commission can decide this. I don't think we should take any comments that aren't related to shade tree, because the comments that came in on these developments to planning commission, there were shade tree comments that came in. And so the planning commission felt that the shade tree comments should come before the shade tree, if there are comments, and that the planning comments should be, restricted to the planning commission. So I don't think we're in a position to deal with comments that are related to things outside of our purview.
Right.
Sure.
So I don't
agree.
know how anyone else feels about that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying there's a chance we're going to have a lot of public comment on these.
Totally agree. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
We don't have any public comment as of right now.
But Trish, you know how much we got.
From the planning commission, yes. But I'm just telling you that we do not have any public comment as of right now.
Okay.
Very
So
good.
Matt, it's Jenny. All these comments that the planning committee got that relate to shade tree, are they going to be transferred over to us, or are we starting from scratch tonight and waiting to see if we get public comments?
I think I would assume that people that I don't know what to say about that. I think if someone comments to us about the shade tree issues, we have to deal with it. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't end up dealing with a lot of comments that had nothing to do with what we are charged to do.
Right.
Can we get Lisa to comment on this? Because I'm not really sure. I know that, when the comments come in for planning commission, they're posted on the meeting minutes. I don't know, Lisa, do you have anything that you can add? Like, should we be separating them? I mean, it's not the same meeting.
Well, I'm sorry, Trish, I'm not understanding exactly what you're asking me. You mean the
So-
comments that come in tonight, if they would be the public comments tonight at this meeting would be given to planning for them to understand what shade
No,
tree?
no,
No.
the comments that we got during the planning commission meetings, and we had many,
Mhm.
those comments, some of them may have had comments about the shade tree.
So, we can't really go back. I mean, you can't really go back and look at another meeting and take those
Okay.
public comments. That's why there's public comment for every single meeting.
Okay, that's what I
I'm
thought.
not the solicitor, but
Right.
the Board of Commissioners wouldn't do that. We don't go back and look at the public comment from other meetings. We rely on,
New ones.
new ones from the community, and people are given notice, to comment, they can comment.
Okay.
And
That's
if
what I thought.
the other thing I would say, if any board members, or if any of the members of the commission, want to share some of the thoughts that have been brought up, you certainly can do that as well. In the context of your conversation, that's certainly appropriate, but you wouldn't go and pull public comment from other meetings and apply it to this meeting, because
Yeah,
things may have changed.
That wasn't really what I was saying. What I was saying was, I don't think we should entertain public comments that have nothing to do with our Shade Tree Commission purview. Like, we should take public comments that are related to what's in front of the Shade Tree Commission, not what's in front of the Planning Commission.
Right, and my follow-up comment to that, Lisa, was that I had some concerns about people who made shade tree type comments at the planning committee think that they've registered their comments when in actual fact, they really haven't, because they made them to the wrong committee. So planning's not going to review them because they're shade tree comments, and we're not going to review them because they were not stated at our meeting.
Were they advised of that by the planning commission, that those comments would need to be made to shade tree?
No, we just accepted all comments. We accepted and read all comments at the Planning Commission meeting, whether they had to do with Shade Tree or not.
So, and I would say that probably for your meeting, you would need to do the same thing. If somebody wants to write in and comment on something that is about the plans in general, you can't say no to somebody's public comment. You can't say this doesn't apply, so we won't read it. And again, I'm not a solicitor, but at least from the perspective of the Board of Commissioners, we wouldn't do that. Public comment is public comment. You like it to be about what's on the agenda, if at all possible, and these are on the agenda.
Great. Okay.
I have a follow-up question and something to say. Matt, since you serve on both planning and shade tree, can you guide us here? I do feel like Ginny that it dovetails and it's important to the whole project. Can you guide us to if there are things that you think need attention that is important to both planning and shade tree in this project? Because I do know from outside public people calling me about this project that they're very interested in the shade tree impact on this project.
Yeah, so what has happened is Shade Tree traditionally always received these plans before the Planning Commission. It's become reversed. And that's not a good situation, because what happens is Planning Commission doesn't know what to say to anybody. I mean, they don't know how to even take these comments. If Shade Tree gets these plans first, it's always going to be able to prepare the Planning Commission for what they need to know. So we need to probably think about on the calendar, or not on the calendar, but on the roster of plans, making sure that let's just get back to having Shade Tree hear this stuff first, because then we can do our very specific reaction or whatever to the plan before it gets into the development issues. So
May I ask, is this the Hamilton property?
One of them is.
So
Okay.
I had the Hamilton on screen, and then I realized Eagle and Radnor is first. So I
Okay.
brought this
Yeah.
up.
Okay, that's what I
Lisa,
thought. So you
all
know
three-
that Hamilton is still in the conditional use. We are still in a conditional use hearing with that.
no, Hamilton got conditional use from planning, but had to go to the board, right?
The Board of Commissioners is currently in the process of having a conditional use hearing. We have
Okay.
the third meeting of that. I believe it's the beginning of February.
And that was.
This is
that was
Rob
sort of-
Lambert. That's actually there's two Hamilton projects. This is the Hamilton project on Eagle Road. The conditional use is for Stratford.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Anyway, Claire, I hope that answered your question.
And this one has not been before the Board of Commissioners yet.
So yeah, let's table that discussion for now. And we can, Matt, I agree where it would make sense for shade tree to review before the planning commission, but we can discuss that later. All right, so getting into our first land development project. So Eagle and Radnor Road. So we have 217 trees to be removed. 41 are hazardous. Who do we have on the line for that project?
Good evening, I'm Jonathan Alderson. I'm here with my associate Jesse Forrester. We've also got the engineer, Rob Lambert. We've got our client on the phone or the Zoom call, Will Collins and Devin Tui. And I think we've got someone else on the line, probably our attorney as well, Dave Falcone. So thank you for having us. If we could have the screen because there was some slight modifications, and Jesse's gonna, if you could share the screen.
Jonathan, before we do that, Mr. Lambert, why don't you run us through a little bit of the history of the project and what's going on, and so Shade Tree members get a clear understanding of what this project entails.
Actually, John, if we could call up Jesse's screen, we can have an aerial, and that would be good to speak to.
Great.
You want to zoom into that, and Rob, you do your magic.
How about we do this, Jonathan? Why don't you go through your whole piece, and then if I think anything needs to be added, I'll add. But John, to answer your question, Jonathan was going to kind of go through some of the infancy of this. To give you the Cliff Note version, is from the very beginning of this project. The whole design of it was really driven by tree preservation. And so Jonathan's going to go through that of what we really looked at, how they analyzed the site, and how we wound up with the design really to maximize mature tree preservation.
Got it.
Okay,
thanks,
so
Rob.
We'll just go quickly through this sheet just for people that are not familiar with the site. It's a large paved parking lot and some small houses. And there's some images to the next of it next to this aerial that show the parking lot and sort of a view down to the large houses beyond the property. And then there's another shot of the large canopy trees that are up on King of Prussia Road. So if we go to the plan, and it's important to look at the plan next. We've tried to preserve as many of the significant trees on the property as we could. In fact, the developer sacrificed a home site to save more of the trees that are up along Eagle Road, sorry. So this is and we've been walking through this ground and around these trees with Jim Ward and John Husback, and have assessed them for their health and safety. And we identified trees that were to be removed. There were 217 trees to be removed, of which there were 41 that were of poor health. And the replacements, we needed 230 trees, of which 110 of those trees were to be shade trees. So the next sheet, and this is slightly different to your plan. We had to make modifications because of the right-of-way changes and a slight change to the length of the cul-de-sac. So this plan shows the replacement trees along with street trees that are required along the new street. And the tabulation is shown, if you can see it, you probably have to zoom in.
Let's zoom in on that, please. Walk us through this, Jonathan.
So in this, we've got the replacement trees. We've got 110 shade trees, and we've got 121 evergreen or flowering trees for a total of 230 trees. And in addition to that, we've got the 76 canopy trees that are required for the street tree ordinance. And the street tree calculation is below that, where we came to account for the 76 trees. On the other side of the sheet, we've got the planting schedule. And there we're showing it's primarily native. A lot of the evergreens are not. We've got cryptomeria. I know we had some comment back about Pinus strobus from, I think from James. We wanted some Pinus strobus because there were some in the area. We wanted to sort of relate it back to what was there. We also have Piceus abies, the Norway spruce. In the low areas, we've got taxodium. We've got a lot of oak on this plan, along with maples and Betula nigra, some sweet gum, and then some flowering trees, Magnolia virginiana, Cercis canadensis. If you want to go through, we can look at the tree protection fencing on this sheet. So all of the major trees, we've got protection fencing around. There is a house off Eagle Road that's got protection fencing all around it. And then all along Eagle Road, where we've got the grading, we've got the protection fencing. Jesse, is there anything I forgot to mention?
We are planning on transplanting a number of trees as well. I'll jump back over to the existing conditions plan. For those of you who are familiar with the site, you may recall Eastern planted a number of trees less than 10 years ago. So there's a large number of spruce trees that are of a size that are conducive to transplanting with a tree spade. I believe we have 41 transplants. We're planning on picking up these smaller spruce trees that are closer to Walnut Avenue and planting them. Currently on the plan, we're planning on planting them along this buffer. Once we have a general contractor in place and can talk through the excavation work, we may even try to see if some of these larger transplants could be worked into the heart of the site to really beef up this buffer. Something that is important to us is that we screen the backyards of these homes from Walnut Avenue. So that's just.
And that was discussed, Jesse, during our meeting, correct?
That's right, yes.
And Jesse and John, you guys did a very thorough hazardous and declining tree report on this site, which you should make some reference to that.
We can call up some of the photos from that.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. We can just run through this. It's some of the photos. I apologize. It's difficult when there's a woodland to capture them well. So bear with us on some of these photos, but I'll scroll through. This is close to the corner of Eagle Road and Radnor Street Road. This is a dogwood that has pretty severe dieback. The form is rather poor. In the distance, there is an oak that you can see. It's a double leader oak. A lot of dieback. The finer branches have all come off. It's, if not dead, very severely declining. There's another oak closer to Eagle Road. This one you can see pretty clearly. In fact, Google Maps, you may even be able to tell that this tree is dead. We got a red oak up in that massing of oaks that we're preserving. One of them, this 48-inch red oak, has a hollow trunk to it. Jim Ward suggested that we take that down as a hazard. 36-inch white oak. This has some dieback, pretty severe dieback, flaking bark up at the top.
And again, Jim went through this with us, Jim Ward, and we've got a letter from him on these trees.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to walk this again. I know John Hosbeck, you walked this with us back in February. I don't know that we pinpointed each individual of these trees. I know we kind of generally walked through and kind of and reviewed these, but we'd be happy to review these in more detail again too, if you like.
And I believe this is going to be a project that probably, and Matt and Seth and anybody else, I'm sure they're going to want to see this site in a little bit more detail.
Yeah. Yeah, we can certainly do that. This oak would have been an incredible tree at one time. Lightning strikes just been sort of falling apart since we started looking at this project.
How many acres is the site?
Rob, do you remember that number offhand? I'm blanking on the acreage.
19 and a half. Thank you.
And basically this whole sort of wooded area has been let go. So, you know, a lot of these trees have just got a lot of vines on them. You know, they've sort of been pulled down. So a lot of these are just, it's just sort of deferred maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as we get into the center of the site, this is a black cherry. It's near one of the homes, closer to the parking lot. It's got a large void and a split. There's Jim Ward trying to lose a fingertip in there. They're just kind of many of them getting toward the end of life. And some spruces, some of the evergreens near some of the homes. Another spruce that's really severe dieback. And then there's a large number of dogwood trees that are planted along the side of the parking lot. All of them are in poor health. Some of them just are outright dead. Others are in just a pretty severe state of decline. So that's kind of just quickly scrolling through that hazardous tree report.
Well, I appreciate that. It's obvious you guys have done your homework on this.
So, you know, just in general, I just want to say, I think Concordia has been, they were very mindful of the value of the trees here right from the get-go. They brought us on, I think, in August of 2019 when they were first just contemplating the earliest ideas about the site, and they were very interested in doing a thorough tree evaluation and making sure the site was sensitive. So, you know, they stood out in terms of a client who really cared about this.
Yeah, thanks for running through that. And just to clarify, the existing homes on the lot, they're all being removed?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm looking at the aerial footage now. It looks like there's at least 3.
14 existing homes.
14, okay.
Yeah.
There's some hidden under the trees, got it.
Yeah, they're kind of sprinkled throughout here.
And the extent of the new development is going up to Lynch Road? That little side street, looks like?
Yes, that street is not actually built. You'll see it in Google Maps, but there's actually just a curb cut, and the rest of that is
Got
lawn.
it. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Thanks for the clarification. I mean, from my point of view, we're eliminating a giant parking lot and putting in homes with a fair amount of new trees, and removing a lot of trees that are in disrepair. I just checked out the tree formula and everything looks good. Does anyone else have any comments specific to trees or anything else?
Yeah, I think, if Jim Ward looked at the trees, he was in your spot before Seth, so he's knows the ordinance and everything. And if John looks over it, I think we're good there. And I think that Jesse and Jonathan did a nice job with the replacement trees as well. It's a nice variety. So I'm
And those guys wouldn't be anywhere without Mr. Lambert, so.
and Mr. Lambert too. Sorry, I can't see you on the screen here, but looks good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, I know Matt bringing up comments from the planning commission. I mean, this is obviously a big change, and sometimes big changes introduce lots of commentary, but from strictly speaking a tree and tree canopy perspective, I think this is going to be a net positive, which is what we're looking for. Getting a lot of good diverse trees and filling up a lot of empty space.
Make one more comment, Seth.
Sure.
I was just been thinking, if there's not room for your transplants, Jesse, when you guys do that, and if you do that, would you, and this is just a thought, I don't even know if you're allowed to do this or we're allowed to do this, but if you have the transplants up, you don't have space for them, maybe somewhere else on the township, if the parks could use them or something, would you guys be up for that?
I'll let Devin answer that.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, we would be open to any suggestion. We do believe that we will have room on site, but
okay.
To your question, we'd absolutely be open to that.
Yeah, I just hate to see any trees thrown out if they're already dug up.
Likewise.
Just looking ahead, that's all.
Yeah, yep.
Thank you, Devin.
Okay. Jenny, any comments?
No, I think I agree with your summation, Seth. I think we're eliminating an eyesore of a lot of macadam and replacing a lot of open space with a lot of additional new trees with a great selection. So I would be in favor.
Great. Frank?
I'm in favor. Sounds great.
Claire?
I am as well. Thank you for answering all those questions.
Great. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, moving on to the approval phase. So all in favor of approving? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. I hope this turns out to be a great project. Looks like it's going to be. And thank you for all of the efforts in planning a great treescape and bringing some canopy back to Radnor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
We're actually still on the line for the next one.
Yeah,
Great.
we'll stick around for
200 South Ithan. Who do we have on the line for 200?
Jonathan Alderson again, along with Jesse and Joe Conwell, Managing Director of GPX, and Mr. Steve Schreiner.
Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead and do the same overview of the project if you don't mind, and then we'll talk about the 276.
Yeah, so a little bit of history about this property. I think many of you know it. It's sort of been let go. It was a beautiful mansion at one time, and I think had a lot of colorful history about its demise, but it had been let go for the last 15 or so years. At one time it was a beautiful ornamental landscape that surrounded a large mansion home. And that had been let go, and the mansion was demolished a while back, and we were brought in by Joe to look at the property with Steve Schreiner. And it's in a set of state of decay, and John has walked it with us a couple of times as well. And these are some photographs from Steve's report. Steve, if you want to interject as to the condition of the plants as you've seen them, that would be great.
So just before you start there, Steve, you know, Matt, James, who else was there yesterday? Frank, yep, Frank was there, and myself met with Mr. Schreiner, the applicant, Jesse, walked the site. This is a site that has been a thorn in Radnor's side for the last 10 years in regards to tree failure, neighbor disputes. So this is a great project. So I'll let Jonathan go ahead, continue.
Okay, so Steve, could you just describe, and I'll interject as well, that the plants up over here, you've did a tremendous job with this report of critically analyzing the plants. And we are proposing a lot of removals. So, but a lot of the plants here are in a state of real decay. There's an alley of large linden trees, you can see there, that have just been planted on a 12, 15-foot spacing and were pruned at one time. It must have been really beautiful, but it's been let go and it's literally falling down as we speak. So we were faced with that. There was a lot of other trees on the property that again had been let go. And then there's a significant number of Norway maples in addition to that that have grown up in this last 15 years or so and have sort of overtaken other plants on the property. There's a lot of vine growth in the trees. So the client is going to be looking after the existing trees that we're proposing of saving, divining and cleaning things up, and then we're going to be replanting. And I'm taking too much of your time here, Steve. You should
carry on. Perfect. Yeah, I don't have much to reiterate other than the fact that what's nice about this development that the perimeter trees, which were pretty much established when Treenon was built in 1984, they're at a nice mature level where they're really fantastic screening that was already established and already mature. And it's really the internal trees, which were part of the original property, which have deteriorated, over the last really 37 years from when the property was sold from the McFaddens to various owners along the way. And we all know the most recent story. So the developer is giving great consideration to the importance of maintaining as many of the viable trees as necessary and really focusing in on the trees that have been in decline and that, really at this point aren't suitable for pruning and rehabilitation.
Yeah, and to that point, there was a lot of attention paid to the grading to keep the grade lines back, especially from the trees along the perimeter. They want to maintain the neighbor's privacy. So we pulled the grades back as far as we could to the homes to make sure that the area of disturbance was limited. And if you zoom in, you can see that we've provided tree protection fencing in all areas. There's one area that on your walk yesterday, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there, I think John made mention of maybe adding a little bit more tree protection fencing against building 8, which we can do. We just didn't get that on the plan. We can definitely add that little bit of tree protection fencing in there. So as I said before, there's 276 trees to be removed. Of those, 116 were determined to be hazardous. 41 were Norway maple, and you can see our calculations there. We did talk about the Norway maples. We are proposing to replace, not with Norway maples, but replace them with a shade tree. But we didn't calibrate them in terms of sizes. We didn't provide replacement for the 116 hazardous trees. So you see our total below there is 223. If you go to the next sheet, because there's something important we want to show you on the planning plan, And it's something that could sort of be a little bit of a brain twister. It was for me, but that's because I'm not very good at math. But if you look at the replacement sheet, what we've actually planted is 228 trees, because what we did is we were finding it tough to fit the trees in that were required, the 263. So we talked to John Husback about increasing the sizing of some of the trees. So we've actually got 5-inch caliper trees that run up the center roadway into the development. And we've actually got them spread in other places too. So out of that, there are 35 5-inch caliper trees, and we're treating those as the equivalent to 70 trees, if that makes sense, 70 2.5-inch caliper trees. So that's how we came up with our calculation. That's how we were able to get all of the trees on the property. And Jesse, I've probably forgotten something again with this one too. Jesse should really be doing these presentations, not me.
John, that's the first I'm hearing of the 5-inch diameter. Is that within the ordinance? John, are you there? Might have lost him. I'll take a stroll through the ordinance while go ahead and continue to go through items.
I don't believe it is in the ordinance. I think it's something that
there's a recommendation for.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
suggested, and I failed to bring it up yesterday when we had our walkthrough. It honestly slipped my mind.
No problem. Okay, well, we'll have to discuss that as a group.
I think John's back on the line now.
I am. Sorry about that.
John, we were just talking about the 5-inch diameter suggestion recommendation. That's not in the ordinance, correct? That's more of just, it was a compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is correct. It's not in the ordinance.
Okay.
Has that happened before, John?
Yeah, I think we've had a few applicants come through. I do recall one that we did approve. They were looking to reduce quantities because of the designated planting zone not being available. So they were putting in larger caliper trees in to reduce their overall quantities. I'm fine with it as long as it's not going to reduce by greater than 30 or 40%. You know, large mature trees at 5-inch do bring value, obviously, to the property. So I think it's a commission call. You know, we have all the pros here sitting in front of us. So we know it's going to get done correctly. My biggest concern always with a project like this with large caliper trees is the post care, to make sure that they're going to get the ample water and everything that's required to ensure their survivability. So it's something we can talk about. I'm always for a little bit larger if we can in some cases. So I think this project fits that mold. So
how do you feel about that? Just being a tree guy, you know, fewer trees but bigger trees. Is that? Can you see the value in that? I don't know how to call it. You know.
Matt, were you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Absolutely. I think having a larger tree, just from an aesthetic standpoint, when you're trying to integrate, you know, this new community with the mature canopy that surrounds it, to have that level of canopy as you approach, I think it's going to blend the neighborhood much better as you approach. Mm-hmm. From a tree survivability, the aftercare, you know, we're going to see to it that obviously these trees are a much more expensive investment, and we would make sure whoever the landscape contractor puts them in, we will be working hand in hand to ensure their survivability, both from an aesthetic and from a financial standpoint, to make sure they work. I think to supersize it is the right call here, versus having more trees of smaller size put in inappropriate locations, just to accommodate a number. Here, we're making up in caliper mass, and I think it was a good call.
Yeah, I like the rationale myself. And I also like the fact that the Norways are going to be replaced.
And remember, they're still under the guidelines of the 18-month warranty period. So, obviously something of that caliper, if there are issues or tribulations with those trees, they'll be shown right away compared to a smaller 2.5-inch caliper tree. So once we get past that 18th month with a 5-inch caliper, we should be down the road to success. So.
Agreed.
My only thought to this is obviously in any other scenario, if we wanted to subtract 35 trees, there would be, fee in lieu of, which we've approved earlier in the night. But knowing that, some of that investment is going into larger diameter trees, I can kind of see where that nets out to be fair. But again, playing devil's advocate, I don't want to go down the road of making an exception for one property and not the other.
Yep.
But understanding that, looking at the plan we see in front of us, I mean, this is definitely packed full worth of trees. Mr. Schreiner, your comment about, not planting smaller trees in inappropriate locations, I totally get that. I just want to make sure we're maximizing the amount of trees per the ordinance where we can place them. Does anyone else on the commission have any thoughts on that?
I think it's a good idea too. The 5-inch tree is going to be more than double the cost of a 2.5-inch or 2-inch caliper that's required. But to back up John, yet the just some way to make sure that they are cared for. Obviously, we wouldn't want to lose them. I'm sure the community would not want to lose them.
So if I can make a suggestion, I would like to have Jesse maybe add some sort of verbiage that discusses post-care for these trees for maybe 2 to 3 years after install to ensure a high success rate. So maybe whatever Mr. Schreiner wants to propose, in terms of, deep root care and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and John, typically in our install specs, we have, the first 6 months of watering. So we typically have that, but we can add that additional note.
Correct. Yeah, but that's all time related, Jonathan. So if they're planning in the fall, that 6-month window equates to a lot of winter time. So I would like to see, so for example, if they're planning in October, I would like that 6 month of watering to begin June 1st and go through. Yep.
Understood.
Yeah, I would also recommend that isn't a Quercus the oak tree? I mean, they are most of them are fall hazard, right? Fall dig hazard.
Yeah, we have that in the spec too. There won't be. This will be installed at the right time.
Yeah, with that size caliper, I think you need to really make sure it's at the right time and not just throw them in at any time.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Hey, John, it's Joe Conwell. Can I just make one comment? That is that we have in our revised homeowners association documents with the Train On Homeowners Association, we have very specific language for the maintenance of the newly installed trees.
Got it.
And so there are certain sections of like up along Train On with the landscape buffer where the association is going to have, it's all agreed, they're going to have a service contract for those trees. And so what we'll do is just include those street trees in that same category.
Got it.
So it won't be for 3 years, it'll be perpetually, they'll be maintained.
Because of the HOA ordinance, that's correct. Okay, because they're bylaws, yes.
Right, and we addressed all that in the revisions that we made.
Got it.
Great.
Thanks for the clarification, Joe.
Okay.
And then one other thought that came to mind, which we didn't speak to for the last project, which is communication to residents and nearby. If we were to think of, if you're doing any signage or mailers to nearby residents, if you could speak through what your plans are for that.
Yeah, I think Joe spoke of that yesterday. You've contacted or been in contact with a lot of residents, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, number one, we went through a multiple month process with the Trianon homeowners. There's 61 homeowners in Trianon, where we essentially negotiated conditions for their support of this development. And a big piece of that, a primary driver, was the trees and the privacy and the substantiation of the perimeter, which is already outstanding, and also the creation of this landscape buffer up around the bend of Trianon Lane. So their homeowners documents required a vote. So we had a vote, which 52 homeowners voted, and there were 0 against. And one of which is, by the way, an extremely high turnout for voting in a homeowners association. But they all care greatly about this because it's been a problem for a long time. And so we did, they were very involved. And I would also say that we have, throughout the process of going through the township review process, we've made multiple notifications to the neighbors of planning commission meetings and whatnot. So they're all very dialed in.
Great. Okay. Good to know. All right.
Seth, I have a comment, Seth.
Sure.
I'm sensitive. I think it's a great idea to have larger trees in exchange for the number of replacement required, but I'm sensitive to your comment and agree that I'm a bit concerned that we would give that opportunity to one developer, but not to others. And I'm throwing it out to the Shade Tree Committee. Is this something maybe we should think about adding as a part of our ordinance going forward?
Well, Jenny, it'd be a case-by-case scenario. It could be something that we include as a suggestion or a possibility, or an alternative per se. But again, it's a case-by-case. A project like this where they're putting 9 homes in, and we want to have that maturity level, which is existing today, just degraded. This is a perfect opportunity. There are some cases where, obviously we would not want to see this, such as, a young development that's already, that's a clean slate. So
I think I agree with Jenny that this is a common sense type approach, and maybe we have to do something with the ordinance that gives us that flexibility.
Absolutely.
Agree.
That's something we could probably take
There is
for
that
another
option
meeting.
out there on a case-to-case basis.
Yep.
Right.
Under the discretion of the shade tree.
And our arborist.
All right. Claire, any comments?
No, I'm fascinated by this project. Thank you for presenting it so well.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, I have no further questions or concerns. All in favor? Aye.
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 Great. Thank you, gentlemen. And
Thank you very much.
looking forward for this project to go underway and through completion.
Excellent job, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to let you know, we still don't have any public comment.
Great. Thanks, Trish. All right. Our last land development, Eagle Road, Hamilton Estate. Who do we have on the line for this project?
You've got
Bern Panzak with Black & Thomas Panzak. We're the landscape architects. We also have Rob Lambert, who is our civil engineer, and representing the Hamilton Trust is Charlie Howder with Haverford Properties.
Great, thank you, Bern. Do you want us to pull up plans, or do you have someone on your side that has plans that would like to share?
Yes, as with others, we've had some recent revisions that we'd like to share, and if I could share my screen,
Perfect.
that would be terrific.
Go right for it. Thank you.
Okay, so you can see a colored rendering here.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. I know it's been a long evening. I'll try to be brief, but there is a fair amount of detail to cover. This is our project. It's a conventional subdivision in the R4 zoning district, and it's about 3.7 acres of ground. This ground, as I mentioned, is part of a land holding by the Hamilton Trust. It has been in a fairly natural condition for quite some time. I guess you know, the way I would describe this lot is that it's had some neglect, and it's a bit of a degraded wooded area. So, you know, but our project is for 9 homes. There really is kind of one design that would work in this configuration, which would be a cul-de-sac, which is reminiscent of sort of the adjacent West Avenue neighborhood. The site is configured in a bit of a T, with the main piece of ground here that fronts onto Eagle Road, and there is a small and narrow stem that runs out to Stratford Avenue. You know, the one comment about this configuration is that there's no plan for any activity, grading, or land disturbance in that T section. So again, this is a 9 lot subdivision, and the entranceway is off of Eagle Road here.
So you're intending to knock down the house and greenhouse here? There's no historic issues on any of that?
This is not the site that you're thinking it is. The site you're thinking is off of Stratford Avenue and Eagle Road, down to the west of this particular site. So here's Stratford Avenue. The site you're thinking of is right here.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Right, this is a different site. And what you see here is an existing conditions plan. We've got existing trees shown around the property. We visited the site multiple times, and would, you know, value the opportunity to walk the site with John or Matt or whoever else would like to take a walk. We did walk this with Jim Ward, and Jim was charged with really looking at the heritage trees on the site, and really the trees that you see marked in color here are the heritage trees that are located on the site. This number 58, although it was a larger tree, it is an ash tree, and it would not be considered for compensation as part of the computation for tree replacement. So the report that Jim made was, we looked at trees that were worth saving, average tree specimens, and hazardous or poor specimen trees. And you see here in green, number 60 shown here, and number 56 over here were trees that were worth saving. Those trees will be saved. We've got number 59, which was a larger degraded maple. That was considered hazardous. That will be removed. And there's another tree right here, which was considered hazardous as well. And another ash tree toward the back of the site that really had big problems. All of those trees would be removed within the context of the property. The other thing you see here is a dotted line, and that line represents our limit of disturbance. So the trees that are within the confines of that line will be removed. There are 132 trees scheduled to be removed within this envelope. We determined that 21 of those trees are dead, diseased, or hazardous in some fashion. And as I mentioned, 3 of those were heritage trees, 3 of the 21. And that leaves us with viable trees to be removed of 111 trees. We did a report, and that report is shown here. We've listed all of the trees within that envelope. And if I zoom in here a bit, you can see that each tree within this limit of disturbance does have a number. That number is associated with a species and a size. And within the roster of our trees to be removed, there is an indicator of this gray color, and that is indicative of the dead or hazardous tree replacement classification. So, so after we did the tree replacement calculus, if you will, and I'll zoom in on our charts here. We had 104 trees within the 6 to 18 inch caliper range. That would be a 1-to-1 replacement for 104 replacement trees. Within the 19 to 29 inch range, we had 7 with a 3 trees per size category removed. We would get 21 trees with those 7 removals, 14 of which are considered desirable to be canopy trees. And in the 30 inch and above category, we had really 0 trees to be removed because of the classification of hazard or diseased or dying, that they did not make this chart. So there would be no trees of that category in the removal. So if you do the math, you come up with that 111 trees to be removed. Doing the additional math, you come up with 125 trees, 14 of which had to be of the canopy variety. The other things that factored into the landscape plan was street tree requirements. We do have frontage on Eagle Road, and that's shown, I believe, here. And we do have a small frontage, as I did mention, down here on Stratford Avenue. And in addition to the street trees, so this would be the interior roads. We have 1,300 some odd linear feet of interior road. If you do the calculation, that comes up with 44 trees. The one tree requirement along Stratford, that's what these are. And then along Eagle, there's actually a buffer requirement. There's not really a street tree requirement. So if you apply this buffer for the 200 linear feet of our Eagle Road frontage, you come up with 5 canopy trees and 7 evergreen trees. So all told, we are removing 111 trees, and we're replacing those with 182 deciduous and evergreen trees across the site. There are, as I mentioned, street trees on both sides of the street. There are, what we determined. If I go back to this plan, this is where the buffer was, including the required evergreen and deciduous trees. The entrance, again, is here. We have used our replacement trees strategically along the perimeter and throughout the community, really, to add screening where we were adjacent to neighbors, and where we also had land area. We've seen a lot of matters before us this evening that had certain constraints that existed on the property. And one of the things that I will point out is that within our project, we do have stormwater management basins that do affect the location of landscaping. And if you don't see trees in and around some of the lot areas, it's probably due to the fact that there's underground stormwater happening. We did also try to provide some screening between the new homes, as you see here. And, I think that, that kind of sums up our project, and I'd be happy to entertain questions at this time.
Great. Thanks for running through that, Bern. My only question that I have was the planting plan. If you could point out of those, which are the large canopy species that you guys have chosen?
You mean on the plant list, or specifically which ones might be those on the plan?
Yeah, both. If you could if you don't know in this list, on the plan would suffice.
I guess what I can tell you is that the Bohol red maple, the ginkgo, the gladitia, the London plane tree, the zelkova, and the prunus species are all around the street. They're all street trees. We did kind of provide an array of cherry trees just as you enter the development, and then everything else would be the larger shade tree varieties. The things that would be, I believe, in the category that you're referring to would be the Princeton elm and the swamp white oak, and those would I'm pretty sure are the larger canopy trees.
Sure.
That's not something that we had specifically earmarked with your question in mind.
No, that's fine. I think what you just walked through was exactly what we were looking for. Regarding the species, John, Matt, or James, do you guys have any comments on what's proposed?
We feel like we were, fairly native for the most part, as best we could. When you do start to get into the evergreen trees, it's sometimes a little tough to find natives that actually fit some of the particular size requirements, and in some cases we were looking to have narrow evergreen upright trees, and we've used the green giant arborvitae, but we tried to integrate some holly and Picea glauca. Avoiding the white pine is something we try to do, and we do integrate some Norway spruce and some Abies concolor.
Yeah. Other than American holly and red cedar, we're pretty limited.
Right.
Great.
Avoiding the hemlock.
Great palette. Great palette.
John, how is a Princeton elm working out these days?
I mean, there hasn't been any confirmed DED in the Princeton, but time will tell. But right now, it's a survivor for sure.
And the ginkgo is would those be? There's a reason to have to want males, right?
That's all you can buy right now.
Okay.
Just going through the tree list here, and there's 14. You need 14 large canopy trees, right?
That's correct.
And I see, just going through the numbers here.
Well, those numbers also denote the street tree requirements and buffer requirements, just so you know that.
So it's not part of the replacements required?
This is a total. This is a total sum of everything.
Okay.
Right.
Yep, shade tree plus the saldo requirements.
And does that change the math for us, or?
No, not at all. He just combined it. He, above he denoted all the different variables. So we have, per our ordinance 263-4, and then above that, if you scroll up a little bit more, you get a 255-42 and 255-38, which is part of their requirements in regards to buffering capacity in street trees.
So in terms of neighbors, have you had any interaction with the neighbors? And the reason I bring it up is this is the type of site you could drive by right now and not even know it's there because of the woods. So it doesn't really jump out at you as, something that is not, it's not, I imagine it's sort of nice to look at if you're a neighbor, but it's going to be a big change for the neighbors. So I'm just wondering, have you had any interaction with the neighbors?
We actually met with a neighbor that lives in this particular location, and they were supportive of the project. I don't have specific, firsthand knowledge and interaction with other neighbors, directly, other than that one neighbor.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up was the Hamilton tract, that's more toward the Spread Eagle Village. The neighbors are very, very, there's been a lot of neighbor interaction and a lot of neighbor concern. So I'm just wondering whether this is something you should think about, because at some point, and this was from the Planning Commission perspective, my Planning Commission perspective, not my Shade Tree Commission perspective, but I think it's better to deal with it at some point before, so that people are on the same page and understand what's going on.
Rob, do you have any insight to that?
Yeah, I think Charlie's on the line here. He can talk about our neighbor.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we've had extensive outreach with the neighbors and have spent quite a bit of time in sort of open neighbor forums. It's been a situation where with both projects were considered, though they're following separate paths and they're separate applications. We had 3 sort of open house meetings at the Township actually 2 at the Township building, and then 1 ended up being virtual because it fell within COVID, where we took questions and answers. We had one meeting that was dedicated solely to stormwater. The other 2 meetings were wide open forums to ask questions about all and every aspect of the development, each one of the developments. And we've continued that dialogue through the public meeting process with the conditional use process, which again doesn't affect this parcel, but affects the parcel across the street.
Okay. Ginny, Frank, Claire, any questions or comments? Nope. Can't hear you, Ginny.
No, I think it's a well thought out plan. I don't have any comments.
Okay.
I'm fine with it also, Seth.
Good. Claire?
Good.
Good. Yeah, this looks good. Everything checks out from a tree formula perspective. James, did you finish your math homework?
Yeah, it looks like they have enough large
Great.
trees in there, so.
Sounds good.
Math looks good.
Great, thank you. My only final question is, on the agenda, we have this listed as preliminary plans, but obviously this is a little bit further along. I did look at the plans that we had on file, and it looks like what was added was the removal list, and then also the the tree formula.
That's correct. We will forward that plan onto the township to kind of update that particular graphic with the report on the trees.
Great, thank you.
It didn't change anything with the formula and our overall compliance that's shown currently on the landscape plan.
Right. Okay. Very good. All right. Any final comments?
Nope.
Thank you, Vern.
All in favor of approval? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thanks again for some detailed work. Much appreciated. Makes our
Thanks very
jobs
much.
easier.
Thank you.
And, good luck with the project.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye now.
Thank you.
Okay. We're getting there, guys. Thanks for hanging in. So next on I'm going to reshare my screen here. Next on the agenda, tree removal without approval. None at this time. Trish, anything that has cropped up for that? All good?
All good.
All right. No violation notices. Anything under old business that we need to cover or discuss? So just as an update, we are going to, I know we're skipping ahead a little bit here, but a lot of the goal discussions, we're going to save that for when Eileen is back next meeting. If we don't have anything else for old business, we can hop into some new business with the spring tree planting. So as Eileen's email entailed, discussing if it makes sense to do 2 plantings or just 1. I know we had spoken to this previously last year a couple times, and I think we kind of all are on the same page with less is more. But James, I know you had some thoughts if you want to chat through those.
Yes, I was just, if there was a spring tree planting, I think it's the opportunity to get started now and we can get good trees in. With the planting that happened in the fall, I was kind of disappointed because if the planting list that was planted at residential houses came to us, we would have got what he could. And we have a chance in the spring to actually plant some good native trees, which doesn't seem like that's happening. I spent a lot of money on cherry trees. I don't think it's good use of taxpayer money.
Sure. I will say, you know, we planted a record number of trees last year, which is great. And also, I think we've come to learn that it takes much more time than we realize to pull off a planting, whether it be spring or fall. You know, Jenny, you did certainly a great job with, you know, facilitating everything. I just think we hit some timing roadblocks with kind of some unforeseen situations. And
I mean, that was mostly for the RFP. I mean, that's
right. Exactly.
Yeah, the RFP and I would suggest not tying it in with well, I guess from an RFP, John, it's better to have tied it in with the WBA, but you know, getting all the WBA information in was what really held us up because the residents, we closed out like a good
early.
month before
Yeah.
the WBA was done. And we could have gone ahead with our RFP and gotten those trees in a much more, I mean, we started in August for heaven's sake, so we didn't get them planted until December. So I think the WBA may be, I mean, it's like they got all the trees they actually need for the time being.
Yep.
So, and I hear you, James, on what you're saying about spring, and I would prefer spring too, but my concern always is that if we plant in the spring, we're up against the Conservancy giving away trees for free. So if I'm a resident, I can get one for free, or okay, $35 isn't a lot of money, but still, you know, why?
You know, there is some great validity to what James is saying, and Ginny, you're right. There is a spring free giveaway, but their trees are not the same size that we would be providing. You know, we're doing 2.5 inch, you know, 12 to 14 foot trees, and they're giving, what is it, 3 or 4 gallon, 5 gallon trees away.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to really market that message though heavily. So
Yep.
people get it.
No, absolutely. But I mean, if it's something you guys are going to do and even think about, I mean, we have a deadline, you know, because we got to do the same process again as James put out. We can get some nice news. Great time to plant. People are, especially this winter, coming out of the COVID and be anxious to get out in their gardens. Is on mark there. So, I mean, if something we need to think about yesterday. So we need to definitely have something in the works for February so Mr. Norsini can get it out on the table.
I have a question.
Sorry.
I have a question and a follow-up on all of that. Can we learn from what we learned this year? And James, is there a way that we can capture sort of some of those better trees or better inventory of trees and do an early fall thing, like a September, so that now, and are any of those overlap? Only a spring plant and only a fall plant.
It's just the way the bid fell. I mean, if we have everything ready by the end of July, beginning of August, you know, ready to go, those contractors will be able to get all that material that is, you know, applicable for fall planting, not the fall dig hazards.
But are there any spring trees that can be planted in early fall, like late August?
if they're already above ground, meaning the nursery dug them in the spring or the summertime and they're sitting above ground. They can't dig any of the oaks. All the fall hazards have to be already above ground in a B&B form or containerized, that there would be no digging. So the trees that we really like, those oaks and different species that are a fall hazard, have to be already to market and ready to go when we order them.
Okay.
So yeah, we want to have everything ready. So maybe what we do is combine to get both that spring request and fall request. Maybe we do it as one project. Do you know what I mean?
That's my point. I think that's,
and the people that want those oaks, or obviously we want to see more oaks because of all the benefits from shade to wildlife. You know, maybe they go to the spring dig and spring planting, and then our fall species can go into the fall realm. So we can do a split, capture more residents, and then everybody, I'd say, you know, we fall for 2021, prepare all next year for the 2022 split season. Because, I mean, really, you know, because people are home with COVID, contractors are so backed up, and nurseries, from what I'm reading and hearing throughout the industry, are going to be in short supply, just because people are spending more money on their homes instead of going to the Bahamas, you know what I'm saying, because of the travel restrictions. So if we're going to do something in the spring and we want to do something, we need to do it yesterday. So
I mean,
my 2 cents.
I would really vote against doing it in the spring because and I'm literally maybe finish planning one.
Let's plan strategically for 2022 to do that split that Claire's referring to, so that we can prepare. We have all 2021 to prepare for 2022. 2021, we'll just stick with our fall planting. 2022, we'll roll out a new carpet of a split season. Maybe.
Understand that idea, but I did mention that before, John, to I think it was with the what was it? It was either with the planting that was going on with the Wayne Business District, when they were redoing all that stuff, and everything had to be done in that year. You couldn't plan for the next year. That's what I was told that time.
Well, that was a separate project. That was a project being funded. That wasn't a shade tree planting. That was a project that entailed more than anything. There was macadam, concrete, lighting, infrastructure, its own separate entity. So no, that couldn't be split. And you're right.
Okay. No, I understand that, but
yeah, that wasn't that wasn't us.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying for the health of the trees.
Correct. I mean, if we plan, if we plan and have a list, and you know, Jenny puts her magical marketing hat on and gets it out to people, we can rock and roll that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I could have a list to Jenny in a day if people wanted to do something next month.
I don't want to do it.
There's also an alternative.
I'm still recovering from the fall one. I don't want to.
Yeah,
there is an alternative. They were doing it at Ithan. Instead of going for 100 trees, how about we concentrate on 10, 20, 6-inch, 5-inch trees and find spots around the township for trees.
Or maybe do this. Buy 50 trees. We'll get me to donate. We'll do some marketing in town. And we give away 50 trees this spring from the shade tree, not, you know, counter of what the
Can I interject something here? In addition to that, we have the opportunity to get 15 bare root trees spring. Without any objection, I'm going to put in the application to get those 15 bare root trees for this spring.
From PHC, Frank?
From PHS, yeah.
Yep, PHS, excuse me. Yeah.
Lisa, what do you have?
I was just going to say, I like James's idea. I know, and I'm wondering if maybe in looking at some of the township parks and whatnot, like I know Sawmill Park, there have been trees that have come down over by, Ardrossan, where the trail is going to go around in the rye field. There's a big tree that's come down there. Like, I wonder if there's some other places, or even, they're putting the new trail over in Hartford Park that's going in. I can't remember if there's trees associated with that project. John, you probably
No, there's not much planting. It's more removal of some degraded trees.
Yeah, so like some of the, like there are some projects that are there in process, existing places in the township. If you wanted to, that can make an immediate impact, kind of like the trees. I love all the trees that are planted on the trail. That I think, Frank, those are the ones you guys got donated. I think that's great, and then the residents, like all the residents, get to enjoy them. It's not,
and remember,
the giveaway is great. I love the giveaway. I think it's fabulous. I've seen so many trees around, people, but I'm just thinking that's.
And Lisa's right. And if we keep it under our cap, we don't have to go out to bid. And we could pretty much decide what we want.
No, if we keep it, say that.
If we're underneath our dollar figure, yeah. So we can actually do that and buy our own trees and implement it and have a contractor plant them. So if that's something we want to do, and James wants to put a list of, 25 trees in, around some parks or wherever we want to do, or give them away, however we want to work it under our, requirement for that budget without going to pen bid, something we can do.
And you know what I love about it too is, this is something that Shade Tree is doing. And I think that also raises, your profile of your work in the township. You're not just, a group that, everyone comes to about cutting down trees. You got, it raises that profile. I love that. I think it's great.
Trish, what is it? Is it $7,500 or is it 25 grand? I forget what it is.
I don't want to give you false information.
We'll ask the big man, Mr. Norsini, when he gets back.
I thought it was 25, if memory serves correct.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 25 too. Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's like 7,500. You have to go for, the manager has to go to board approval, I think, or something like that.
That's correct. That's right. Yeah, so it's 25 grand. So, we
can get a lot of. Come to the board. We'll just mess everything up. So
we can get a lot of trees for 25 grand.
Yeah.
Or get some good trees. That's all. We need to get some nice, good trees.
And that's something we could do very quickly.
Yeah, we can do that quickly. Don't have to do the pen bid, which holds up a lot of time. So, James, why don't you get everybody a list of trees you want to see? We'll get All Seasons to give us some planting numbers because, they've been a good partner with us and helping us out and doing a lot of things and what we want, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
But before we make any decisions, we got to let our chair know what's going on. Yep. But yeah, so a couple of thoughts as you guys were deliberating. I agree with Jenny where I think, letting the Conservancy have the stage, with their tree giveaway, and then us having our stage with a fall planting would be ideal. Trying to, coordinate and step on each other's toes in the spring, I think would be not a great position to be in. And one other thought was the survivability between 2.5 inch to 5 inch. Do we really think that it's that big of a differentiator that we should move to something bigger like a 5-inch diameter tree?
I don't think we should move to it. I think it should be an option in certain cases.
Sure. But
2.5, it's hard to buy, it's hard to source, and it's hard to move those trees around.
Right.
Logistically, it would be an option in our toolbox in our ordinance to say, hey, we can do that instead of reducing or asking for waivers, or it's a chance for us to make an impact where we see fit. So
Oh, I didn't mean for the ordinance. I just meant we had just spoke to during the planting, buying some 5-inch caliper.
Yeah, so I brought that up because I was just saying that if we had spots around the township that the township picked out, 5-inch, get some really nice trees that are larger. And hopefully the township would then have a plan to maintain these trees,
Right.
watering throughout the summer or whatever, like they did in the Wayne Business District. You're going to get much more out of those trees, I think, than a 2.5-inch caliper right away.
Are they more than-
Survivability, it's I think it's going to be tougher for a 5-inch tree if it's not taken care of properly.
Right.
And
what's the cost difference? Are we talking double or more?
a little bit more than double,
Okay.
probably.
So
Depends on the which species too.
right. So it's more than double plus the additional aftercare maintenance. So we have to keep that into thought too, because less trees.
I completely agree, but if you saw the tree list that went out to the residents in last year, I would guarantee that there would be no problems with the conservancy where they would say, yes, I'd rather you plant 10 of these trees than 80 of the trees. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they would rather see native trees
Right.
planted than what we got last year. And
but
if
I
that
think-
continues, I think it would be really irresponsible of the Shade Tree Commission.
Right. But I think, to earlier comments, the RFP only went out so late and limited our selection because of the WBA holdup.
And
whereas if it,
Seth, they had a lot of hard time sourcing because of COVID.
okay. So not necessarily due to later in the year, but just in general.
Yeah, a double whammy late in the year and limited supply
Right.
due to COVID.
Right.
And
But-
I don't anticipate, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate WBA necessarily being in that same position for a tree need. That just seemed to dovetail and work out this year.
Right.
So I don't anticipate WBA holding up a fall planting.
Well, and if we're ever in that situation again, I suggest we just split the RFP, because at the end of the day, are we really going to save money, combining the two bids, if you will, together than splitting them out? Like, would All Seasons would have they charged us more per tree if we split it into two projects versus one?
That's a good idea, Seth.
Probably not, right? I would imagine. But John, to your earlier comment of, if we get the RFP out in like a July timeframe for a fall planting, we're going to have a greater chance of options for trees when we get our bid in early, right? It's just the way it works.
So that means we should start marketing like May.
Yeah.
Because it takes
Sooner the better. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it now if we know, let's put it this way, and I think Norsini mentioned this before, if we know an estimated quantity and the species, we don't need the addresses. We just need to get something to the contractor saying, hey, we have the money to do 185 trees and we want 30 of this, 20 of this.
Okay.
Just get that out the door. We can always do the logistics of the residents later.
Oh, okay. That's a good thought, John.
Yeah.
Well, James, do you want to give us a list for your for the fall planting, presuming that we would plant them in September?
Yeah, you're not going to get the trees in September, probably. So, but I can get you a list together. They're just not going to be available depending on
what James is saying is spring dug trees. Like, let's use red oak for an example. If we're planting 20 red oaks and we put the list out, come fall, they're going to be gone most likely. So that's why that split spring and fall is optimal for getting a more diverse palette of trees. Okay. In the fall, we're going to be limited unless there's above ground trees. Now, if we get that list now and like an All Seasons or whoever, holds those trees and heals them in their yard, we're fine. But
Yeah,
it's something we need to do soon.
Okay, well, I think we could do that soon. Ask them to ball them and hold them.
And John, balling them and holding them, does that decrease their survivability?
None of it's done great. I mean, you look at like Shemans and all these nurseries around, they'll buy stuff and they'll sit, in a holding cell and get watered and nurtured throughout the year. With all seasons or any contractor we utilize, there's going to be a warranty. So, if the trees fail or we get some substandard stuff just because it's sat all stinking summer, we're still under that warranty realm, so we'll be fine.
Got it.
Okay, sounds like a good plan.
So let's do this. Let's our next meeting, let's see if we can get some ideas together for locations, and we'll get Eileen should have the budget numbers together, and we'll talk about getting things rolling. Sound like a plan? All right.
Excellent.
Thank you, everyone. So any other new business before we try and wrap this up? Nothing? All right. 2021 goals, we'll review those next meeting. Hazardous trees, Trish or John, any?
Yeah, it's true. Typical. We were actually pretty light. They all been verified, poor condition.
Good deal. Do we have a DBH on this black oak?
I think it was 31, if I recall. I don't know why it's not on there. I think it was 31.
Okay. Trish, can you make sure that gets back in there?
I only put in there what is on the paperwork. If it's not on the paperwork, I don't put it on.
Some of these tree guys, it's not very legible when they write it in. So I measure a lot of times, but I think that one was 31.
Okay.
Some of these guys, it's chicken scratch out of the back of their pickup truck when they're filling these out,
Sure. Sounds good. Okay. Well, if you guys could get that squared away.
Yep.
Cool. No trees removed by Radnor Township. Trish, do we have any public participation?
Nothing.
All right.
Wow.
And that brings us to adjournment. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for everybody's hard work.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
a lot of big projects tonight, and I think it's going to be a lot of good stuff. So thanks everybody for hanging in there.
Good job,
Good
Seth.
night.
Nice job,
Everybody-
Seth.
Good night, everyone.
All right.